It's 8:30. Time to call the March Land, Water, Forest Resources Committee to order. Roll call, please.
Bruce Paulson,
Here.
Ron Buckholz,
Present.
Jesse Betcher, Mark Helwig,
Mark's online now.
Brian Bissonette,
Here.
Kevin Sheptick.
Good. We have a quorum. Very good. Did we comply with the open meetings law?
The meeting has been noticed to the public and the news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Okay, thank you. Next item is the meeting agenda. It's been published. Any comments or suggested revisions? Okay, if not, next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, we will entertain public comments. If you don't have anything on, if it's not on the agenda, it's time for public comment. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Do we have anybody online that wants to make a comment?
No, hands are up.
Okay, no public comments then. All right. Let's move on to the minutes of the February meeting. I'd be entertaining a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve, Mr. Chairman, as presented.
Very good. I'd like a second if we have one.
I'll second.
Okay, good. The motion's been made and seconded to approve the February minutes. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Greg, are you gonna handle the events or,
I am, yep.
okay,
Yep, so we have the Schwamigan Mountain Bike Festival, that's the Fat Tire event that's every year. We have the permit and we have insurance and required other attachments for that event.
okay. So do you want to move them, take it all at once or one at a time?
I think you can take it all at once.
Okay. All right. Just, I guess we would need a motion to approve those.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve the Fat Bike Tire Festival 1, 2, and 3.
Very good, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second. This is Brian.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Okay, any more discussion? I have a discussion. In my packet, there's certificates of insurance. Do we, as a committee, really need to see those or want to see those? Or can we just rely on the forestry guys to say they have them?
I would just rely on them to have them. They're not gonna tell us that they have them if they don't.
Right,
So I'm okay with not having to see them.
all right, good. Any comment? Mr. Hoff, you have a comment about that? Or is there any reason?
No,
we
that's
need to
fine.
see it? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, all in favor of the motion to approve the Schwamigan Bike Festival on September 9th of 2021?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
So any nays for dissent? Okay, motion carried. Sarah County Treasurers, she is not going to be here, but this is a standard thing we see almost, I hope every month, but we would need a motion to approve this land sale to refer it on to the county board for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve over-the-counter land sale in the town of Ojibwa.
Very good. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second. This is Brian.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the over-the-counter land sale in the town of Ojibwa. Okay. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carried. Land records.
I guess in the packet, there's just a little report of the places where the numbers from what the survey crew did last year and a little map of our project areas. If anybody's got any questions on that.
Okay. Is that something you're gonna do every month then?
No, that's like a yearly report.
Oh, that's
So
your yearly
that's-
report.
That's our area, that's little dots are all the little areas where we worked,
Okay,
we worked in the last year.
what's a PLSS?
Public land survey system.
Okay,
That's the 5,000 or so government corners that were set in the government survey in 1850s that we take care of.
when?
1850s,
Yeah,
probably
okay.
1855 to 1868, something.
Yeah, you showed us one of the old wooden stakes at one time. Okay, anybody have any questions? You wanna walk us through the report? or-
We can go through the report if you want. If nobody has any questions, that's fine. It's just,
Okay, so what's the pleasure of the committee? Do you want a brief verbal summary, or have we all read it?
I've read it, it looks okay to me, I guess.
Okay,
If Dan wants to read it, some of it, that's
yeah, I
fine.
mean, there's just whatever.
Right.
It's numbers.
Yeah.
I put the numbers together. We have to do reports for the state for some of our grant funding and stuff, so it all kind of gets done at the same time. And I just gave you a copy of that.
okay. So you had a good year, huh?
Yeah, it's average.
Okay,
Actually, it was a good year for the way we're staffed with the whole COVID thing.
sure, all right.
And then I guess as far as the land records and, tax listing is up to within, I think she's on the 8th, so we're only a couple days, we're right where we always want to be.
Okay.
Which is kind of surprising because real estate transfers are really busy for, I don't know if I've ever seen February or March like this, or at least in a lot of years, so.
Right,
Our county's gonna be really busy and maybe changing a bunch, I think.
When I see a lot of them in the paper, I see,
Yeah.
holy smokes.
Yeah, it's just really busy.
who replaced Netlos?
Rachel Thompson, she was in the register of deeds and she really got that job.
Okay, good. So she knows the ropes more or less, huh?
Yeah, she's familiar. She's a lot of things to learn, but she's doing fine.
All right. Any more on land records or the county surveyor's report? Any questions for them? Okay, moving on, Sarah County Forestry Department. We're up to recreational trails, motorized, non-motorized. Mr. Rotek.
Morning. Come up closer to the speaker here. We had a very good season for snowmobiling, very good. And of course, looking at the weather out there, she's pretty much over with right now. The guy's been pulling the stakes off most of the lakes and that. Most of the clubs have put their equipment away already, the grooming equipment and that. So, but it's been a very good season for snowmobiling. With this warm weather, nice out there, we're getting a lot of inquiries about ATVs. So we've got some people coming up and doing ATV riding right now with the trails. The county trails close April 1st. So we still got a little bit of time there, although I don't know. If it gets too muddy, Greg might be closing them down a little bit sooner if it gets too nasty out there. But otherwise, that's county policy is April 1st is spring closure for the trails there.
Okay,
But a lot of people want to get out and ride, a lot of inquiries coming in and it's going good.
okay. Any questions on the motorized trails?
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you shed any light about the two-rider rule on ATVs that was recently passed?
Okay. The ATVs themselves, you got the side-by-sides,
Right.
which you got required seating on there, seat belts and such. On the ATVs, they just passed a rule. If it's designed as an ATV, two-up ATV, you can have two people on it. You cannot have it with an add-on seat.
Right.
The rule says that if you have a single ATV, only one person can be on it.
That's just for ATVs though, not for snowmobiles?
Correct.
Interesting.
So on a snowmobile, you can still put 3-4 people on a snowmobile, legally,
Right.
not safely, but legally. But the ATV rule is that it has to be designed
And
for,
that's anywhere, not even just on a designated trail?
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any more questions on the motorized trails report? Okay, well, thank you. Keep up the good work. Greg, I guess you're up with your February forestry report.
Okay, yep, I'll just run through it real quick. I think you've had a chance to review, but February, we had 16 active sales. We just closed out our winter logging season with road bans going on Monday. We still had a pretty good winter season, a pretty high percentage of aspen yet with the hardwood markets limited with Verso. But we still are moving a little bit of hardwood to some of the other sources out there. Sale value on file right now is just a little over 3.4 million. Sale revenue for the month was just under 125,000, and we do currently have just about 400,000 in sale revenue billed out right now. So when it's all said and done for the winter, we're probably going to be up around that. I would guess about 800,000 for the start of our season here for winter. And if we get in that 800, 900,000, we're usually pretty well on track for hitting our budget. Summer's going to be real interesting yet with all the market considerations, but pine markets are picking up with dimension lumber in demand. So hopefully we fill some of the gaps with the hardwood with some of these other markets. Sale inspections are on target. Tract establishment, we had 9 turned in, and we're putting together the spring timber sale bid that'll go out the first week of April. So that's where we'll really see what the markets are going to do, see how the bids come in. But we're putting the packets together, going through all our reviews. Recon's on target. The G&A on the federal forest, we haven't done much this winter, but that'll pick up once the snow is gone here. Other than that, we're working through our grant applications for ATV, UTV, and snowmobile trails. That's an April 15th deadline. One other item of note, something that's just kind of popped up is the possibility of a carbon credit market. This just kind of came up. I had just heard about this about a week ago through some of my counterparts. I got information from Tom that Tom had heard about it probably about the same time I did through his channels. This is real early, but Bayfield County's looking at entering into a contract for carbon credits. It's a 40-year deal. They're still going through the review for DNR legal and some of their approvals, but it looks like it's a high dollar amount that they'd be taking in a year on this carbon credit market. We looked at this probably 5 or 6 years ago. This first came up, and at the time, in order to be eligible for the carbon credits, we would had to have removed acreage from harvesting. So it was kind of a real trade-off. It's just swapping revenue for revenue, it seemed like, and we couldn't restrict harvesting. So they wanted to make sure that our carbon stayed sequestered in the forest and things like that. But this is something totally new, where it sounds like you can still harvest, you can still get a baseline credit. So it's all really preliminary, but it's a possible real interesting, exciting revenue stream that we could possibly cash in on.
Good. So can you give us another update next month?
Yep. Yeah, it's probably what I'm going to be looking for is we research this a little bit. There's a company that's offering consultations that get you set up. So as I get a little more info, and I think Tom's getting info on some of his meetings and calls on this, we'll probably look at seeing if we can have a contact with this Blue Source Group is the name of the company that's heading this up. So like I said, this all just kind of popped up on the radar here a couple weeks ago. So
okay, is that it for your report?
that's it for my report. Yep.
Any questions for the forester? Okay.
Is this,
Pardon?
is there a resolution?
Yes.
That's
Oh, that's next, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, you're on to 2A.
Okay, I had a request from Fred Shear for a utility easement at Nordic Ridge. If you have that map in front of you, If you recall, this parcel, Mr. Shear purchased and he donated just about a 40 to Sawyer County. And then you have a corridor where a connector, the Berkey Trail runs, that he gave to the county as well. And through that process, he forgot to leave himself a utility easement to get to his other lots on the other side of the trail. So he's requesting a utility easement of approximately 300 feet to get across the trail there, as you see on the map.
Okay. And do you recommend doing this? Or-
Yeah, I think it, given the situation, you know, I think it's fine. This is non-county forest, but even if it was, we do consider private utility easements on a case-by-case basis. So I would imagine that Jump River Electric would have a easement document that we could run through court counsel. Sometimes there's a fee associated with it, something to consider. We haven't done it in the past, but I mean, it's a possibility.
So we would charge a fee to do the easement?
It's a possibility, yeah. Some of the other ones we haven't, but we don't have a long history of doing the private utility easements.
Okay. So what's your recommendation? To approve it without a fee, or you're recommending?
Given the situation with the donation of the property to the county, I would recommend approving it without a fee.
Okay, good. All right, do we have a motion to that effect?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion to approve the easement for Fred Shear without a cost.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the Fred Shear request for an easement. Clarification, did we usually put county board easements, I mean, take it to the county board?
Yeah, easements would need to be approved by the county board. So if you want to do this, I think we would have a resolution made up with this intent in mind for the county
Okay.
board.
All right, so that's your motion to pass it on to the county.
Pass it on to the county board, yes.
Very good. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. All right, Greg, you're up to item 3, I would think.
Yep, we have our annual resolution for outdoor rec aids. We need this resolution in place to be eligible to apply for the motorized trail grants and other state and federal grants. This is the annual thing we do every year.
Okay. So we would need a motion to approve the application for the trail grants.
I'll make that motion to approve the application for the trail grants.
Good. Any second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the resolution for the outdoor trail grants. Any more discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, great. Do you want to talk? That does not usually go to the county board, does it? I've not seen it at the county board.
It still does, yeah.
It does, okay, I remember now. Okay, so that will be passed on to the county board. Okay,
Okay, next up, we have the Sawyer County Outdoor Recreation Plan. At least have one of the long-awaited final drafts of the plan we've been working on. This is a 5-year plan, and we need this in place to apply for a lot of state and federal grants, stewardship grants. The purpose of this is try to get a handle or illustrate all of the recreation resources that we have in the county across all the municipalities, try to identify them and try to get some future needs. So when grant possibilities come up, then we can apply and we can reference this plan. So this is a first draft. And basically what I'm asking is I'd like to release this for public comment for 30 days, have committee give comments, and hopefully we can get this to the municipalities for one last review of what the facilities they have and what future needs that they do have. We had limited response from municipalities when we sent out a questionnaire last year, but we did have some. So a lot of the recommendations were based on previous plans, just so we would have basically a placeholder. So, I mean, it's nothing that anybody's bound to if you have a possible project. It's just, you want to have it in the plan. So if they want to go ahead with an improvement or development, they can apply and have this referenced in the plan.
And if it's not in the plan and you have a grant request, you can always amend it.
You can always amend it, yep.
Okay. All right, so you're looking for a motion to approve public release of the outdoor recreation plan, and you'll bring it back to the committee for final?
Yep.
April?
Final approval, that'll be April, and hopefully have county board approval that month. And so we'd be in place for the May 1st deadlines for a lot of these grants, so.
Okay, perfect. And Ed Peters, who is your co-chairman, has got a copy of this?
Yep, I got a copy to him, and he's reviewing right now too. So any comments the committee has, you can let me know.
Okay, so we need a motion to release to the public the draft of the Sarah County Outdoor Recreation Plan.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman, to release the outdoor recreation plan to the public.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second this, Brian.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, motion's been made and seconded to release to the public the draft of the Sarah County Outdoor Recreation Plan. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carried. Do we have a DNR representative on the line?
I see he's on there.
Oh. Okay.
This is Roy Zubrod. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Roy, have you, do you want to talk us through your report or?
Yeah, I'll just go through the highlights. The forestry update as far as the markets, it's about a month old now, but I'll just, like I said, I'll just go through the highlights. As far as the logging goes, it was kind of spotty throughout the state. Depending on where you were at, there was a shortage of bolts for like white pine. Red pine seemed to be moving well as the demand picked up for dimension lumber and do-it-yourself home projects. Hardwood lumber, the markets are doing well for hard maple, oak, and basswood. Mills that are trying to export to overseas markets are finding that the red oak, ash, and white oak seem to be moving. And they expect that they've seen orders to China and Vietnam pick up in recent months. On the pulp and paper side of things, the tissue and packaging is doing well. However, the graphic and writing paper market is still kind of sluggish. The biggest driver for the container board is the food service industries, as takeout orders are still doing pretty well at this time. And there was an article published in the Wisconsin Rapids Daily Tribune regarding the Consolidated Cooperative, where they put in a letter of intent to purchase the idled Verso mill. That doesn't mean that they're going to do it. It just means that they've stated an interest. And then on the softwood and building materials, as I stated earlier, dimension lumber is picked up. There's a demand for siding-oriented strand board, and those manufacturers are still working at capacity as that demand continues to grow. If you have any additional questions about this, I've put a contact info with Logan Wells. DNR activity on the Sawyer County Forest, we reconned approximately 237 acres of hardwood, and we completed 3 burn plans totaling 110 acres. And there's been a recent hire. Kyle Marinoff was hired as the park superintendent for the Flambeau River, Chippewa Flowage, and Tuscobia State Trail work units. He started March 1st and will be working out of the Flambeau River State Forest headquarters. As he gets his feet underneath him, he'll be brought around for an introduction at some point, but so he's just brand new, but In the meantime, as far as the Tuscobia Canyon Koyak is still dealing with issues as they come up. So at some point, there'll be a transition over to Kyle. I guess that's all I have.
Okay. Any questions on the DNR forestry report? No. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, sir. Jay, I guess unless anything else on forestry, okay. Jay, you want to lead us through zoning? The
Yeah, the first
conservation?
agenda item we have there for zoning is the wildlife damage program claim summary. We have that attachment. I do apologize for how small it is there. If you were able to zoom in on your home computers and print off and be able to read a little bit, but this is for the wildlife damage claims. We do have Seth on from APHIS who can direct us through this a little bit more. Again, these are those that request to be in the program that saw loss of damage of crops due to either bear, deer, geese, turkey, etc. I do have individual claim forms that would need to be signed. Now, some of these do have some personal information on them, so I didn't attach them on the agenda. I just had the large summary sheet. But I'll let Seth kind of take it away to explain a little bit more of that, or if there's individual questions on any of these individual claim results.
Point of clarification, this is just a passive, correct?
It is, correct. Yep. So APHIS runs the program. APHIS receives money from DACAP to run the program, and then also that money distributed for the wildlife damage is also paid for by DACAP.
Okay, so it's no cost, budget neutral for us.
Correct.
Okay. Seth, you wanna talk some more about it?
I guess unless there's any specific, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess unless there's any specific questions for me on any of this, all I really need is if you guys have reviewed it, I suppose would be a motion to approve the 2020 wildlife damage claims as presented, and then I would need a signature and date on each individual claim forms from the chairman. I guess in general, from previous years in Sawyer County, probably the most glaring difference between 2019 and 2020 was goose damage to cranberries. And the reason for that would be just because the price increased substantially per barrel for cranberries. Otherwise, it looks like deer, we pretty well held our own between the 2 years, and as well as for bear. We did have quite an increase in the number of bears that we captured and relocated out of the cornfields in Sawyer counties. That seems to be a rising trend over the past few years, and we're hopeful that that may resolve itself in the future here, just due to the fact that the DNR rezoned the bear zones up in this neck. That was just to focus more specifically upon this agricultural bear damage problem that we've been having.
Seth, did you want to talk about the denial at all? And that, well, that's something that we, I guess, don't see often, but maybe explain to the committee a little bit about denial that we're looking at.
Sure. So there's, for Dale Beisel and Connor Beisel, you'll notice that their deer claims were denied, at least as recommended by me. And the reason for that being is because when they enroll for deer damage, they're required to harvest a certain number of deer within a certain time frame. The intent of that to be to reduce the damage as much as possible. And each of those individuals did not hit their harvest quotas. And so there was a discussion between myself, Jay, and the DNR wildlife manager as to whether or not a waiver should be granted. And just given the amount of hunting effort that was put forth to hit those harvest quotas, it was insufficient, and therefore they are denied as far as the deer portion of their damage claims.
They have a right to appeal to this committee, don't they?
They do.
They do have the right to appeal that. They were informed well over a month ago of that right and instructed in the process of appealing it, and neither of them informed me that they wanted to appeal. In order to appeal, they're supposed to bring forth additional evidence that would support the consideration or reconsideration of a waiver. There's some very specific benchmarks that they need to hit in order for a consideration of a waiver to be granted, and neither of those individuals expressed any interest in pursuing an appeal.
So We need a motion then to approve the wildlife damage claim summary.
And with that, then I would have several signatures to get from you then, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, we figured. Okay. All right, we need a motion then to approve it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the wildlife damage claim as presented.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the wildlife damage claim. Any more discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, the next item is APHIS again.
No, next one's just my update. That was all we
Okay.
kind of needed from the wildlife
Alright.
damage program.
Okay, good.
Next is the conservation department update for, I guess, February into March here. We're still going through some of our dam file organization, kind of getting those streamlined and cleaned up. We're also working on, and I do believe now has been submitted, our emergency action plan for the Tiger Cat Dam. This was the final piece needed to submit to the DNR for approval, and that they are still holding up 10% of the municipal dam grant, which is an additional $24,000 that we would receive back from that grant. So that will hopefully be done and cleaned up and all buttoned up here by next month. The other conservation staff had their virtual land water conference this last week. 8 hours of virtual online training for 3 days straight. So we'll have some additional follow-ups for that. Wasn't able to kind of get the summary together for that to get it on this agenda, but we'll circle back on those.
Next month then?
Correct. Yeah, just to give a kind of an update as to what kind of training was done or what's new in the land and water conference portion of something. Tim also did several other additional trainings over the last month here for waste storage closure procedures, streamlined crossings, and shoreline restoration. We are still continuing surveying and engineer work, the future Upper Bruni River Dam project. To touch base a little bit more on that, we do have money set aside as part of the capital improvement program for 2022 as to do the Upper Bruni River Dam rehabilitation or reconstruction. We do have to be a little bit tactful in that we do have some engineering costs that are going to be incurred in 2021. Obviously, you need to get the plans together, and engineers cost money to get those plans together. So there are going to be some costs associated in 2021 with the major reconstruction to be occurring proposed in 2022. Spring tree sale, nearly almost all the species of trees are sold out. At this time I was on there last week, and I think there was just one tree species that wasn't sold out yet. So that was a very great success, and that'll be coming up for distribution middle part of April to get those trees out. We did receive our DADCAP staffing reimbursement grant. So we did get our money for basically our conservation staff. It's a semi-funded position for those two individuals and for their time. And then we are working on cleaning up some of our septic system history, those errors and reporting, and also kind of switching over to the Laserfiche program for the actual scanning of documents into that Novus program, which is our property listing information page. So still working through those kind of learning curves that would entail with a new system and a new program, but with help of Mike and getting us set up on that, this could be a really smooth, streamlined process when it's functioning, firing in all gears. So.
Are you going to do the online tree sale again next year? Did it work?
I believe so. I mean, it was a very easy process for Kelly, and it didn't really seem to have any bugs associated with it. So I do think we'll probably stick with that online. For those that may not be as online tech savvy, I think we'll still offer a paper form, but this was a lot easier for Kelly to keep track of inventory and database. I mean, it goes right to the order form for those individuals as opposed to someone writing it on paper and then another individual having to type it online.
Right. Okay. Any questions on the report, conservation report? Okay. Thank you, sir. Do we have a USDA update?
Yeah, all our county community buildings, we're under a phase 0 thing. President Biden signed a executive order to stop that. So now only 25% capability of people could be in the building at once now. General CRP still has no deadline. I don't think in Sawyer County there is anybody even signed up for CRP. Back when I looked there, the QLA deadline was extended from April 9th to March from March 5th. ARC, PLC is a big push right now. Deadline is still March 15th. The CFAP application deadline was also removed, so there's no deadline there for now. The DMC program for the dairy farmers, last month the margin was at 714. So if you had a 750 base, you were paid for milk last month. We have a new secretary now that was sworn in. And then in 2019 to 2020, there was $1.6 million from FSA programs given to Sawyer County farmers, ranchers, or homeowners and stuff. So that's it.
Is that it?
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you. Any questions on the USDA report? Okay, Brian, do you want to give us an update on LCO conservation?
Thank you. I don't really have anything notable to report. It's that time of year where we're just basically getting ready for the upcoming spring. We're excited to put our state-of-the-art hatchery into full operation this year. So outside of that, it's just maintenance, a lot of administrative stuff. So.
Okay. Thanks. Any questions for Brian? Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay. Future items for discussion. Greg, when are we going to see that forestry ordinance that we had under the last month's agenda?
That'll be April. That'll be April. I was hoping to have that together, but I kind of switched to finish up the rec plan. So
Okay.
we'll leave this month to get those updates and the forestry ordinance on the 15-year plan for April.
Okay, so you and Tom are working on the legal counsel.
Yeah, we will be. Yep.
Perfect, okay. And the GIS committee education, was that going to be April? Okay, very good. Any other matters for discussion? Anything you want to bring up for the good of the county? Hearing none, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody. I got quick.